Hello everyone, this is Ether Dragon, and welcome back to another episode of Fire Emblem Heroes. So, today we're continuing tap battles, just right after finishing recording myself S-ranking 96 to 100 on the main stages. Now we're going into all the extra stages on hard difficulty. As you can see, I already finished them on normal difficulty, so let's get started here. So today, it's gonna be a rant about ether raids again, because, oh boy, there's been a lot of changes. I think the first thing to talk about is probably the blessings, the mythic heroes and the new blessings and things going on. So, obviously, this is a way for intelligent systems to keep adding more content to get people to summon on banners and stuff for the new units they're releasing. Which is, of course, okay, but it really changes ether raids long term. Because it's like, now free-to-play players can't possibly compete with whales. To an extent. So there's light and dark blessings and Astra and Anima blessings. I'm tapping too fast. The stage is too slow. Is this hard difficulty? It is. Man, it feels awfully slow from after finishing 96 to 100. So, light and dark blessings, they can help boost the amount of lift you gain per match, and Astra and Anima blessings decrease the amount of lift you lose on defense when you lose matches. So the big thing, of course, is on offense, because on top of giving that bonus lift, there's bonus stats as well. And for air, she grants plus 5 HP and plus 5 res, and that's ridiculous. And I'm still not used to how slow this is. But it's pretty broken. You can stack it and do ridiculous things, especially when Surtur's a bonus unit right now. He's just trolling people in ether raids so hard. It's not trolling me though. I'm still able to deal with him on offense. On defense, I've killed a few Surturs this week because people have either done weird things or just underestimated my setup. But there's the stats, and then it works also based on the extra lift you gain is also based on merges on the mythic heroes, which is really annoying, but how is it working? I'm trying to remember. Alright, so you take the number of mythic heroes with the appropriate blessings, so it's only light blessings right now. So if you have, and you take the the number of units that are blessed with the proper blessing during the proper week, of course. So if you have one unit with air, an unmerged air, so if you have one unit with a light blessing, with an unmerged air and ether raids on offense, when you man, it's so hard to think. I'm so brain dead. When you complete a match, you get on offense, you get 10 extra ether. So if you have 2 units, then that becomes 20 extra ether. If you have 3 units with light blessing, that's 30 extra lift per match, and this stacks. So if you have 2 airs and 3 units that are light blessed, then you can get up to 60 from that. But that's before merges. Merges are additives, so It's just dependent on the amount of merges on the mythic heroes, so it's 1 extra lift per merge. So if you have a plus 10 air, that's 10 more points. 10 more lift. Goodness. That's 10 more lift than someone who would be using the same setup but with an unmerged air. So that kind of introduces a whale to play aspect, Kappa. But yeah, that's not the greatest thing. Of course, the optimal setup is 3 plus 10 airs with 2 light blessed units, because you can only bring 5 units on offense, and that will get you an extra 90 lift per match. Or, sorry, let me think. I'm so brain dead. Yeah, an extra 90 lift per match. Of course, it's a lot more challenging because you have to still win every match using that kind of team, and when you need it's not the greatest, of course. So you can use like 2 airs and 3 units and still get like plus 80, I believe, at max. So it's still efficient in that respect, but it's like assuming you can do that, you have an overwhelming advantage over everyone else, which is really the sad part, because now it's like you can't catch up any better now than you could before in the past. Like, at least before, if you somehow miraculously didn't get many defense losses and you played perfectly on offense, kept getting max lift every raid, then you would eventually keep climbing ranks. Like, you could keep climbing ranks. But that's not really a thing anymore, because some people can literally just sack units and still gain more lift than you can on a perfect match. I don't know what to think about that. But there's that. Not too happy with that. And also, they added this structure called the escape ladder, which is on offense. If you lose a match, you can get refunded your ether for that match. So it basically makes the game mode more forgiving. So at level 1, it lets you get refunded your ether once a week, or once per season, sorry. Same difference. So it basically makes the game a little more forgiving. Of course, you have to use one of your offensive structure slots on that escape ladder if you want to use it, and be consistent with it. Like, you don't want to gamble that the match you're going into won't require you to use it because your team can't beat the map, or you made a silly mistake or something. But so it's like, I don't know what to think about it yet. I personally, again, it makes it a little almost too forgiving, because usually for the more experienced players, they only need that one extra, like that refund for 1 match, because they rarely goof. And so it's like, for them, compared to someone who just consistently has been getting perfect offense matches like most of the time, I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a tough call, because it does make the game mode more forgiving, but it makes at the very upper level, it makes the skill difference a little iffy, because like, someone who screws up occasionally every season will, technically speaking, assuming all the other variables are the same, they'll gain the same amount of lift as someone who just consistently gets perfect scores, which is really hard to do even if you have a ridiculously strong offense team, because you will eventually run into a defense team that gives you a challenge. So I don't know what I think about it. And of course, you can upgrade it to get you more refunds every season. Of course, that's like kind of where it's balanced, because you have to invest resources to have access to this. I haven't built it yet personally. I goofed so much this week. So I have no chance of getting to tier 19, and I'm incredibly likely to not make top 3k now because I'm like ranked 3.2k or something right now. And most of the time I get defense losses, so I can't. There's just no way for me to climb. So feels bad, man. I really don't care much about top 3k at this point. It's kind of like if I get it, I get it, but it's all RNG because a common strategy for people nowadays is rematching people who fight their team. If they see that, like, hey, this person looks like they have not so strong units, or based on what they have on offense, you can determine what they might have on defense. Like maybe they have a lower fortress level, and then you can exploit that because maybe you have a level 3 offensive fortress and they only have a level 2. So then maybe you're like, I'll attack this, or I'll rematch this person because I can get +4 to my stats on offense. So that kind of strategy, and of course getting revenge on people who take your lift or lower your lift, not take, because you don't gain any lift for winning defense matches. But yeah, I don't know. It's escape ladder is definitely something. I don't know what kind of structures they're planning for a leader. I kind of don't want to see what they're planning. The big thing right now is we need a way to get more ether, because if you don't whale, you can't get into the highest tiers unless you really RNG your way to victory. I think it's mathematically impossible to get into tier 21 without spamming blessings. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. It's close. And you also need to get like no defense losses and other ridiculous things like that, so it makes it quite less feasible. Like, if you think about it, defense losses matter a lot nowadays because, for example, say I want to get into a tier that requires me to get 1,000 lift for that week. So, considering how the ether costs scale with lift, you can't get that many matches every week besides the free ones. So you're left with a limited amount of matches. For me, I believe the maximum this week was like 15 matches. That would get me 1,500 lift, because I'm also doing a derpy challenge where I just don't use blessings to see what happens, because I'm not gonna go out of my way to invest into like a +10 air, for example, for ether raids, because right now for me it's like there is a noticeable difference over time in the amount of heroic grails you'll get if you go for like top 3k versus top 6k, but it's currently 5 a week, which will add up of course, because it's pretty darn expensive to get lots of copies of the same unit in the heroic grails pool. But for me it's like, it's not really worth my resources, because realistically speaking, I'm just going to be holding on to my heroic grails, and I'm not really going to be using them for a while, because inevitably, like right now, people might be thinking, oh, I'll invest into +10 Black Knight or +10 Linus. But the inevitable thing that's going to happen is free-to-play units down the line get a lot better. So, you know, saving your heroic grails infinitely doesn't do you any good either, because you're just stuck in a perpetual loop of never using any. So it's like, why have them in the first place? So there's that. But like, of course, you could go for like Valentine Elwood, who's 175 BST, He doesn't have a 400 SP weapon, but, you know, he has the BST, so he's decent for scoring now. I have a feeling later down the road we're going to get a way better free-to-place armor scoring unit, or just any unit in general that scores super well. So I imagine when I get there, I want to invest my heroic rails maybe on that unit instead. And it'll be a little more future-proof, I guess they call it, because 175 BST with no legendary weapon already scores 4 points less than the 180 BST folks like Surtur or legendary Tiki who have a 400 SP weapon. So they're already getting noticeably outscored, because if you add that up across 4 units in a team, for example, that's a huge difference. I think that's straight up, I want to say 4 extra points to your score range. I could be wrong on that, but because I'm brain dead. But yeah, there's that. So right now I'm just kind of collecting heroic rails. I have somewhere over 500, which is not too shabby. Of course, like, mathematically speaking, like, after a year of ether raids, so 52 weeks or 52 seasons of ether raids, if I only went for top 6k versus top 3k, then I'd miss out on like 260 heroic rails, which is a considerable amount. Again, considering how expensive it gets to pick up more and more copies of a specific unit. And just in general, like, 260 would buy you 2 copies of a unit you haven't gotten yet from heroic rails, because it would be 250 for the first 2 copies. So it's a pretty big difference, and there's no way to make that up, of course, because currently we have pretty low gains on heroic rails. I think top 3k gets 30 and top 6k gets like 25, so it takes a long time, like 2 months, to catch up to a comparable amount of heroic rails, unless I'm brain dead, which is true, so could be wrong on that. But so yeah, there's that part of ether raids. But at this point I'm just kind of, because I've taken ether raids seriously, but not like seriously to like I'm gonna try to get top 3k every week, super try hard mode, because I've been memeing the whole time. Like, if you've seen my offense matches, my strategy is use Nino to beat everything, and then everyone else go beat what Nino can't beat. That's literally the strategy. So when Nino dies, like when I goof a lot, the match is already over, because the rest of my units can't carry the load that Nino does, because she's ridiculous in my offense team. But like, I'm probably gonna change my layout so it almost doesn't matter that people see what my setup's like right now. But like, if I just go against my own team, for example, this setup's really awkward. I mean, tomorrow when I record the replays, you'll see how people have kind of trolled themselves. But like, Nino carries so much weight. If I look at this team, like legendary Lucina, she can handle the reds, Nino can't most of the time. But most of the time Nino also just deals with the reds because she can. And then like my Zafield's 4 stars, and he's helped me a lot, like stalling, or just baiting, because he's tanky, wary fighter, and decent mixed bulk. So like, he's done some things, but like Veronica, most of the time she's just giving defense tactic and close guard and healing people. She doesn't. I do have her attack a lot for like chip damage or getting the Clee Scalp buff and debuff, but she's not really doing anything, and Ninian just dances and gives tactics. So it's like, I don't know. I haven't really taken ether raids that seriously, but it's still funny how after all this time of ether raids, Nino still manages to destroy people's setups. And of course I have to figure out ways to deal with the setups where there's too many fire sweeps or healers and stuff, because my team, none of my offense teams can handle it, so. But anyways, as you saw, we finished the extra stages on hard difficulty. And that's going to be it for this episode. Thanks for watching. As always, this is Ether Dragon, and hope to see you all next time. Bye.